Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all those people who have joined this webinar. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Manish and I will be your host today. And before we start, a couple of housekeeping items. Um, this is going to be a fairly interactive webinar, and my experience has been that the audience has been extremely interactive in such sessions. Should you want to ask a question, should you have a query, there's a small button called, looks like a hand that you can raise, which will give me an indication that you would like to ask a question, and I will unmute the lines. By default, all lines are muted. Uh, should you want to ask a question, you can always ask a question. You can utilize the chat window, which again is appearing on the control panel that you have towards the right hand side. You can ask a question. You can ask a question in the chat window. You can raise a hand, and I will unmute your lines. And please feel free to ask any questions that you may have. I'll talk about the agenda in a moment, but should you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can ask the question by when I unmute the lines, or as I said, you can always ask a question on the chat lines. I will in any case open the lines for any queries that you may have twice, one in the middle and one towards the end of the session. So with that, let's start the session today. What I want to cover today is something very generic about the entire e-commerce business. I want to talk about what is the current opportunity in the market. I mean, almost everybody has been talking about e-commerce being, the big thing. Almost every retailer today has an e-commerce presence. Every other business has some kind of e-commerce presence or the other. So statistically speaking, how large is the opportunity from a global standpoint? We also talk about reasons and why a retailer should have an e-commerce offering. One, of course, is the obvious fact that it allows the retailer to go online and be present, etc. But what are the possible reasons why a retailer should have an e-commerce offering? Then another very interesting topic, and this has been my experience, specifically when we have been discussing with retailers in the mid-market on uh, how technical is technology. I mean, we understand it is all web-based, then it's all integrated and all the good stuff. But how technical is technology? I mean, is it intimidating? What does it take? What kind of skill set would it be required? Would a retailer need to have a very different kind of people on the roles? Yes, it's an additional investment in terms of getting the entire infrastructure in place, but how expensive would that be? Is it economically and financially viable to do that? So we'll talk about that. We shift the discussion from being generic to something very specific when we talk about iVend e-commerce, that it is a seamlessly integrated e-commerce and commerce platform. And we talk about that. We talk about the benefits of iVend e-commerce. And more importantly, we'll try and focus as to what is it so different about e-commerce, rather, what is so different about iVend e-commerce which differentiates it from the other such portals of the same type. It is an e-commerce offering, all right, but how is it different? So that's what I intend covering in the next about hour and a half or so. I will also be showcasing iVend e-commerce as a product and try and do a sample transaction and kind of make the audience familiarize with the overall user interface and how does it look like. Much as I would like to answer questions on pricing, I would much rather have such questions directed to the regional channel sales manager. I would, however, be open to answer any questions around how the product is licensed. But that, as I said, towards the second half of the entire presentation. So with that said, let's start the discussion. We'll first talk about the statistics, and this, what you see on the screen, is about the global e-commerce sales. The global e-commerce sales have been growing steadily at a pace of over 19% on a year-on-year basis. And if you see the statistics here, by the end of 2013, it is projected to be around $963 billion. And today being a Black Friday in North America, Black, Black, Black Friday sales are supposed to be, I mean, it is today where the e-commerce sales actually pick up and peak for the entire year. Thanksgiving Day and around Christmas is the time when the e-commerce sales are at their absolute peak, and it is projected that this year, by the end of 2013, the e-commerce business would be something in the range of $963 billion, and that would qualify e-commerce as one of the fastest growing industry segment globally across all industry segments. This kind of statistics would qualify it to be one of the fastest growing businesses or lines of businesses. Another piece of statistics that we talk about in this slide, where we're talking about the estimated global e-commerce growth and the buyer penetration. And very interesting and very compelling statistics, and I'll walk you through this. We'll be talking about buyer penetration on one end, and on the other hand, we're talking about the sales growth. So if you start from the east, in the Asia Pacific region, 44.6% is the buyer penetration, and the sales growth is 33.1%. If you go to Central and Eastern Europe, 41.6% is the buyer penetration, and 20.9% is the sales growth. Middle East and Africa, 31.3% and 31% in terms of sales growth. When we come towards Western Europe, the developed economies, the buyer penetration is far more higher, which is around 72%, whereas the sales growth is relatively less as compared. If I were to compare this piece of statistics here to this part of statistics in this part of the world, I have a lesser buyer penetration here, but a higher potential for sales growth as compared to this part of the world, where the buyer penetration is very high. The sales growth is kind of stabilizing, is plateauing at about anywhere between 12 to 15%. And this is because the Western Europe developed economies, almost everybody, does some form of online shopping or the other, as compared to the developing economies, where it is still getting to gain that kind of popularity and traction. The same is true when we talk about North America. 72% is the buyer penetration and 12.5% is the sales growth. In Latin America, it's 33% buyer penetration and 22.1% is the sales growth. So as you can see, and which is reflected in any kind of discussion that you may have, or newspapers that we read, industry reports that we read, that the fastest growing economies are Latin America, Africa, and specifically east of Africa, and the Asia Pacific region, the classical BRIC nations. So this slide at a certain level validates the entire, should I say, the statistics about where the actual growth is. And if I were to sum this up and if we were to average this out across the globe, we're looking at 33% of buyer penetration and 22.1% as the sales growth, which again is a fairly significant number and piece of statistics. I want to discuss another, statistics and just stop there. I mean, I don't want to make this into a presentation. We only talk about statistics, but the whole objective being to try and emphasize on what is the size. I mean, we're talking about significant numbers here, okay? And this slide again, kind of substantiates that between 2009 and 2015, okay, by 2015, the online sales is projected to be of $1,400 billion as compared to what it was, as compared to $210 billion what it was in 2009. Similarly, mobile sales from $1.2 billion in 2009 to $119 billion by 2015. These statistics that I just talked about kind of reconfirm the fact that yes, e-commerce is big business. It's growing at over 19%. In the previous slide, we saw that the sales growth is projected globally to be something like 22% and the buyer penetration to about 33%. That means more and more people are going online, and there is a serious potential for generating that kind of sales. And this slide talks about what is going to be the total overall sales for mCommerce and e-commerce in the years to come. So changing the topic a bit now, we talk about, okay, we understand what had been the way we had been doing. I'm sorry, it seems I lost the connection. Let me go a slide back. We were talking about the statistics here. So, as I said, the first 6 slides, we kind of reiterated the size of the e-commerce sales globally, and we also talked about how that this is a big business in the years to come. What I want to now change the gear and talk about what had been the challenges till now. I mean, e-commerce has been there for a while. I mean, we have seen the dot-com boom and the bust, where businesses just created websites. But from then, we have seen a steady growth. E-commerce has been there for a while, okay, but it still hasn't been the real mainstay in terms of a channel of business till about recently when it has really picked up. So if I were to talk about the challenge, I just would like to first read out what is written on the slide and then try and substantiate. Till very recently, retailers sold to shoppers via several isolated siloed channels. In the multi-channel model, the consumer experienced multiple touch points but viewed each channel as they engaged with as acting separately. Retailers failed to connect in this model with shoppers on their terms. What we're trying to say here is that retailers traditionally had brick and mortar offering. As the business and as the economy grew, retailers incorporated something called catalog sales, and over a period of time they incorporated online sales. Now, as a consumer, what used to happen, the consumer would interact with the brick and mortar store separately, with the catalogs separately, and with online sales separately. And even the retailers themselves considered all these three as separate lines of businesses, because all these lines of businesses were considered as something new, something different. So let's have a different set of people manage this. What happened over a period of time that these businesses, these lines of businesses did grow a lot, but they were never interconnected. So the catalog salespeople never knew what the online guys were doing, and these guys never knew what the brick and mortar guys were doing. So the consumer experience used to be very different until very recent, and I think even now we see that at a certain level, wherein the products sold in the catalog are very different than the ones sold online, though the ones sold online are nearly the same as what are sold in the brick and mortar store. There is still some kind of disconnect, but that was one of the challenges. So a consumer would see something very different and would experience something very different. There used to be a different toll number for the call center for the catalog sales, and a different toll free number for the online, and so on and so forth. Again, talking more about the evolution to the revolution journey, as I said, in the imperial world, the consumers had only one single channel to operate. I mean, they had just one brick and mortar store. So people will go to the stores, they buy it, and they'll come home. As the economy grew and as the technology grew, retailers started offering catalog sales, shopping, online shopping portals, and of course the brick and mortar ones. The early multi-channel had its own set of challenges because it was, viewed as there were different silos, they were not interconnected, they were not integrated, etc. In the current world, what's happened is, and again, it has a lot to do with the advancement of technology and the the expectations that the consumers have from the retailers. What has happened is, today there are systems, processes, applications, technology available which help a retailer to have one seamless, integrated, should I say, channel available for the consumer. Or look at the other way around. For the consumer, it is one seamless shopping experience, in the sense it doesn't really matter whether he is buying from the catalog, whether it's going online and buying it, or he's buying the brick and mortar store. Same product, same set of pricing, similar experience, whether he could buy online, pick up at the store, he could buy online, return it at the store, and so on and so forth. So in the current world, the multi-channel world, all the different channels of sales are seamlessly integrated, and that has a lot to do with sophistication of the retail systems, which is prevalent today, and iVend Retail being one of them, where one single solution has an offering for the brick and mortar part of the business. The same solution has offering for online. The same solution has an integrated customer loyalty management system, and so on and so forth. So we are talking about one seamlessly integrated application software. There seems to be a question. Just give me a moment. I have a question here, and Surendra, I'll take it towards the end. Very pertinent. A very straight question: how best do I start this? How best do I start the business? We'll talk about this. Please bear with me. We'll take up this question as we move along. Having talked about how businesses have evolved, what is also very important for me to talk about as I said, the sophistication of the businesses. What exactly are we talking about? What does this business actually deliver? And more importantly, why do we need it? Why does the retailer actually need it? Okay. And let me start with the negative side first. Despite all the hype around e-commerce being, a serious sales channel, and retailers should get onto it, all the research, all the analysis say that 80% of the business is still done in the brick and mortar store. It's only about 20% that we're talking about as an online sales. A large global brand, Macy's, recently announced that their e-commerce sales has now just touched double-digit figures. Okay, 8 to 10% of the overall sales coming from the online channel for a retailer like Macy's is a substantial number. Okay, so the e-commerce business does not take away the fact that a retailer should not concentrate on the brick and mortar business. That's very important. The idea is that if 80% of my business comes from a brick and mortar store, how easy or convenient would it be for me to have an e-commerce offering? Because it's going to just give me 20%, if I just go by the statistics what I just told you, if it is only going to give me 20%, then it has to be at least extremely easy and convenient for me to start my online business. So one of the biggest benefits that um an e-commerce portal or an e-commerce offering brings to a retailer is the fact that it opens up an additional channel of sales. Uh, of course, it's not something that we just realized. It's not a eureka moment, but it definitely does increase your retailer's ability to sell more. The entire discussion around endless aisles and things like that. The second point that I want to talk about, one of the reasons why retailers should have it is, and I'll give an example. Very recently, I mean about I think 2 or 3 days ago, I wanted to buy a wireless router uh, for my home. I know Cisco sells a wireless router, D-Link sells a wireless router, have a wireless router, and there are a couple of other companies who have a wireless router. So what I did was, like any other person today would do, I just went online and looked for a wireless router for home, and I was presented by a range of results by my search engine, and I picked up one or two such sites. I saw a D-Link router vis-a-vis a Cisco router vis-a-vis another third vendor I'm forgetting. What I did, I just compared all three of them. I selected three and just compared all three of them. And I was able to compare the specifications. I was able to compare the price, the wireless range, things like that. So I was able to compare the products, and the one that I thought was value for money is the one that I selected and placed the order online. I placed the order online and I had the option of going to the store and pick it up. So I placed the order online. I knew while going back home I'll pick it up and I'll have the router. So the reason I'm saying the story, narrating the story to you is that when I searched, when I got those three results, when I compared the three products, okay, there was at least three retailers trying to get that business from me. If that retailer, the fourth retailer who did not have his portal available, lost out the business. So by having an online portal, the chances are that you might be able to generate more business, and more importantly, you would give an option to the consumer to buy something which that he really wants to buy. You are at a certain level also educating the customer at what he needs to buy. Okay, so that's the second bigger reason why a retailer should have it, because it kind of drives the business. While I was doing that search, okay, when I selected the particular router, I also was able to locate the location of the store. Where is the store located? I would have never located the store otherwise had I not gone online. I was able to locate the store online and was able to drive to the place. I now know there exists a good enough store where I can buy electronic items which are quality product and at economical and affordable prices. The point I'm trying to make here is that e-commerce allows you as a retailer to be found on the net, not only on the net but also physically in the stores. It is used as e-commerce is used as a store locator, and that's again a very important consideration when we talk about being present online. That by being online, you are actually driving a lot of business to your brick and mortar store because you are now searchable on the net. People, when they're searching for stuff, look at you, locate the store, go and buy there. So far we have been focusing, and the entire discussion has been on a business model which sounds more B2C, a business to consumer kind of business. But e-commerce portal today, and iVend e-commerce being one of them, is one such portal which caters to the specific needs of a B2B business. So when we talk about a B2B, essentially let's say a trading business where one company sells to the other set of companies, the terms of engagement are very different. We're talking about, a 30-day net credit. We're talking about credit ratings. We're talking about, you know, business-specific price lists. Okay, the same item would be available at a different price depending upon who has logged in, and the prices are not visible till the time the business actually logs into the portal, because I'm having customer, or rather company specific price lists. So uh, iVend e-commerce as a product also caters to the needs of B2B businesses, and B2B business again is a very established line of business. One of course is when one business is trying to sell to the other, as one selling, the other buying. There are portals, and there are companies who are in the business of reverse auctioning, and that's again a very different discussion. I don't want to digress, but the point I'm trying to make here is that B2B business also is a significant business when it comes to online sales. The volume may be less, but the absolute sales numbers are extremely significant. Um, we shift gear and get slightly more specific, and we talk about iVend e-commerce. Before that, I think there's a question. Let me just have a look at it. When we talk about the B2B business, we are essentially talking about a business-to-business sales. Okay, it's not about business to a consumer sale. We're talking about a business to a business sale. One company selling to another company is what essentially B2B would be all about. Uh, okay, let's change the gear and start talking about iVend e-commerce in slightly more detail. What you see on the screen is the schematic representation of iVend Retail Management Suite. iVend Retail Management Suite is a sum total of 6 different complementary applications which work in tandem to make it as a suite. At the core is what is the iVend Enterprise Server. iVend Enterprise Server is that central hub to which all the other complementary applications, all the participating applications are connected. So iVend Enterprise Server is connected over the internet to the entire store operations, as I call them. Okay, so you could have a store which has a couple of point of sales and a mobile point of sale, and you could have another store which has only one point of sale. You could have hundreds of such stores, and each store having tens of point of sales. So one is the store operation part of it. The entire store operations speak to the iVend Enterprise Server over the internet connection. We also have, as a part of the iVend Retail Management Suite, the Loyalty Enterprise Server, the loyalty application which sits at the head office location, which controls the accumulation plans and the redemption policies, and etc. etc. The iVend Enterprise Server speaks to the Loyalty Enterprise Server over a LAN connection. And then we have the applications which are connected to iVend Enterprise Server over the internet. We have iVend Analytics, which picks up data from iVend Enterprise Server. We have digital passes. Of course, we all know digital passes. Okay, electronic form of gift card coupons and loyalty cards. That's a cloud-based application. And finally, we have iVend e-commerce, the topic of discussion today, which connects to the iVend Enterprise Server over internet connection. Normally and typically, iVend Enterprise Server will also be on a static IP, and iVend e-commerce server will also be on a static IP. And I demystify these words as we move along, and I clear the air in terms of how technical is technology. But long and short, iVend Enterprise Server, the hub of the entire retail of iVend Retail Management Suite, connects over a LAN connection to the Loyalty Enterprise Server to the entire ERP offering. In this case, I'm talking about SAP IS Retail with the PI server. It could be Business One, or you may not have an ERP or an accounting application. You could just do without it. And iVend Enterprise Server over the internet connects to the store operations, over the internet to analytics, and over the internet to the e-commerce. Moving on, we talk about how technical is technology. So let me try and explain this. Now, there is a possibility, and let me just confess before I actually start speaking. There is a possibility that most of the people present today in the audience already know how websites are hosted and how the whole thing works. The objective of what I want to talk about now is to get down at the absolute basic level and try and explain to the business owner and to the partner many a times as to how does the whole thing actually work. I mean, we understand it's portal all right, but how does it really work? So that's the objective of what I'm going to talk about today. And the way this works has a lot to do with the understanding of how internet really works. So when we talk about iVend e-commerce, at the end of the day, I'm talking about some application which will run on some physical machine. Let me call that machine as a box. So I'm talking about a software application which runs on a hardware box. Now, because it is the internet, that box on which that application runs should be searchable. So when somebody searches for that box, I should be able to search it. That means the box should have a unique identification number. That number is called the IP address of the box. So an IP address which can be searched on the net, okay, is what should be the address of the box. So the first thing that I do is I need to have a box which could be searched on the internet. And those kind of companies, there are many companies who provide that such a facility where you could get a machine from a hosting provider. It could be Bluehost, it could be GoDaddy, it could be Rackspace. And there are many companies across the globe who provide such a hosting capability. It's called hosting because the box is hosted on the internet. It's hosted somewhere. Now, if I were to have a business as a retailer, let's say, and my favorite is cupsandgoblets.com. I have a company called Cups and Goblets. Now, if I'm saying that the box which is there on the internet, which runs my iVend e-commerce, has a number, let's say 203.68.56.239, that number is searchable, but I possibly cannot ask people to locate 203 dot whatever. I would much rather say, okay, cupsandgoblets.com. That's a pretty catchy name, and that name identifies with the line of business that I have. So I need to get that name from somewhere. There are a lot of companies who provide that name. So what I do is, when I get that name, I say, this name, when searched, should actually take the user to this box which has this number. So I kind of tie up the domain name to the box which has a unique number. So I tie that up. On that box, I install iVend e-commerce. Okay, so I now have a box which has iVend e-commerce, and this box has a name called cupsandgoblets.com. Okay, once I've done this, I actually tell iVend e-commerce that, look here, your entire master data is in this box, which is iVend retail. Okay, so the moment I connect these two boxes, iVend e-commerce and iVend retail, all of a sudden, the entire master data, be it items, be it product groups, be it customers, price lists, all that stuff which is there in iVend retail automatically flows into iVend e-commerce, and lo and behold, your website starts running. To again recap, what you would typically need is somebody who provides you hosting, who gives the hosting, and somebody who gives you the domain name. You connect the two together. Once you connect the two together, you then need to connect your iVend enterprise to iVend retail and start working. From a infrastructure standpoint, okay, you possibly don't need to invest a lot in terms of having a physical box sit in your office, because that is something that will take from a hosting provider who has this service available to you. Okay, it's the same hosting provider who will ensure that your backups are taken on time, your website has, let's say, a 99.8% or 99.6% uptime, depending upon the kind of plan that you choose. The backups are taken regularly, the system is upgraded regularly, and uptime is maintained. You, as a retailer, would not need another individual to do all that good stuff. You would not need any other person to ensure that items and products defined for brick and mortar are different, or rather the products defined for brick and mortar in one system will have to be defined all over again in your e-commerce system. You don't have to do that. System does it for you. The seamless integration between iVend e-commerce ensures that all that is there in iVend retail comes into iVend e-commerce. And the way that happens is because when we define, or let me put the other way around, e-commerce, iVend e-commerce is essentially defined as a store in iVend retail. In the management console application, the way you normally define a store, it's exactly the same way you would define a store and call it as an e-commerce store. The system will ask you for a domain name, www.cupsandgoblets.com. It will ask for the domain name, and you're done. So you define e-commerce portal as a store in iVend retail, and you manage that e-commerce store in exactly the same way that you would manage a normal brick and mortar store. When I say manage, we're talking about pricing, we're talking about promotions, we're talking about what products are available, not available, and things like that. So that's as far as how smooth is the process as to what all would you typically need when we talk about starting your online e-commerce business using iVend retail. Sorry, iVend e-commerce. Sorry about that. From a business benefit standpoint, as I said earlier, we're looking at obviously an additional revenue stream. What we're also talking about when we talk about business benefits, as I said, one is not only about additional revenue stream, we are allowing the consumer an additional, should I say, level of convenience. Because the entire system is integrated, because iVend e-commerce is seamlessly integrated into iVend retail, which in turn is integrated into, let's say, iVend loyalty. So the same customer is able to accumulate and redeem points on e-commerce. The same customer is able to accumulate and redeem points on a brick and mortar store. Same gift cards work both ways. The coupons can be redeemed at both the places. It's one seamless shopping experience that I'm talking about to the end consumer. As a product, iVend e-commerce has integrated shipping. It is integrated to almost all popular shipping carriers globally. We have UPS, DHL, USPS, Canada Post, etc. So almost all shipping carriers globally are integrated. And same is true for payment gateways. Close about 50 odd payment gateways are integrated. We're talking about Authorize.net, we're talking about Monaris, we're talking about Ogon, we're talking about PayPal, and so on and so forth. So almost every payment gateway, payment processor of consequence is integrated into the application. Another very interesting thing when we talk about iVend e-commerce is the ability of the application to allow you to order online and pick up at the store. And this again is a very interesting, should I say, use case of how e-commerce can be used. Now, I talked about a while ago that e-commerce is about 20% of a retailer sale. But then e-commerce is One of the benefits of e-commerce is that it negates the need for having an expensive retail real estate space. Okay, you could have the best of the portals available, and your goods could be shipped from a warehouse in a remote location. Your entire inventory holding cost would be very low, right? So what retailers today do is they say, okay, uh, if you buy online, you get additional, let's say 20% off, or when you buy online, you get twice the number of loyalty points. Now, that's as far as the retailers are concerned when they are trying to offer incentives for people to go online and buy shopping. Consumers, on the other hand, okay, utilize this feature in a very different and intuitive manner. If I have to buy, let's say, a shirt or a pair of footwear, unless I actually try and wear it, and especially in the case of footwear, unless I wear it, I'm not very confident still that I would be able to buy online. So what I do is I go to the store, I walk into the store, try the footwear, take out my smartphone, place the order online, and say I would like to pick this order up today at the store, in the same store where I'm standing. And this has happened with me. I have done this when we bought last year when we bought an air conditioner for our house. That's what we did. We went to the store, and the retailer was offering a 20% off on a specific brand of air conditioners. We saw the air conditioner, we placed the order online, and secondly, it was delivered. So consumers use e-commerce in a very different manner. iVend e-commerce allows you the facility where you could place the order online, pick up at the store, and you could specify which store you want to pick it up from. In case as a retailer you have many numbers of stores, you could start a different kind of promotions for online shopping. That somebody who buys online gets twice the loyalty points, get a 5% discount, gets a 5% cashback on using Visa card online. And once you have the option, the retailer can get that much more creative about it. Talking about the feature set, I mean, I can talk a lot about it, but some of the ones which are significant and which make iVend e-commerce stand different from the others. One, of course, is the overall deployment schedule. 2 weeks and you're done. Okay. Should a retailer be running iVend retail, it doesn't take more than 2 weeks of elapsed time for the site to be up running and operational. The data is seamlessly integrated between e-commerce and iVend retail. And if iVend retail is being used in conjunction with an ERP at the back end, which could be an SAP Business One or a Business All-in-One or an ECC6 for that matter, okay, the whole thing gets seamlessly synchronized between e-commerce on one end to ERP on the other. I talked about order online pickup at the store. Another important feature that the application has to offer is that, let's say I have 40 stores spread across the country. Okay, I can configure iVend e-commerce in a manner in which I can specify that if the shipping address falls in this range of postal codes or zip codes or pin codes, whatever you call them, if the zip codes or postal codes are in this range, then the fulfillment or the delivery or the shipment has to be done from my warehouse number A or a store number A, and if it is from the other range, then from B, C, and D. What I mean to say is I can reduce my shipping cost by grouping zip codes in a manner that they are furnished from the nearest possible delivery location that I have. Similarly, I could specify that these are the zip codes that I don't furnish. I don't supply to these codes because it's economically not viable for me to supply any kind of goods in these zip code areas. Or I could say that if the order value is greater than a certain amount, the shipping is free, and conversely, if the order value is less than this, then the shipping is charged separately. You could do all the good stuff. When I'm placing order online, and if I specify the range from where the goods have to be furnished, and for some reason the goods are not available there, I could specify an automatic fallback mechanism that if the goods are not available in store A, then goods are to be delivered from store B or from store C, and so on and so forth. I can specify the fallback mechanism. What happens when the goods are not in store? What happens to my portal? If the goods are not available with me, what do? Should I not show the product at all? Or should I show and say the goods are not available? Or should I show the products online and have a link which says, please leave your email ID. We'll get back to you as soon as the goods arrive in stock. That's a very important and very interesting feature from a retailer standpoint. For the customer, yes, it's a good customer service. For retailer, okay, the retailer has already committed, or rather the retailer already has an order well before the order was actually placed. So the retailer can plan the inventory in a manner in which he knows how much he has to order. And this happens a lot during the holiday season or when a very popular product is launched. It could be it could be a very popular electronic gadget, or it could be a movie, or it could be a music album, where you know the demand is going to be very high. You would like to somehow record the number of people who would like to kind of, it's not pre-ordering, mind you, it's not pre-ordering. It's basically an interest shown by the customer that they would like to buy it. iVend eCommerce is not a content management system. When I say it's not a content management system, I mean that you can't create your own pages or your own blog posts. However, you could still have people subscribe to you could create a newsletter, you could create news items, you can run specific online promotions, etc. So it's not a content management system, but it comes very close to it. Like in the sense, when you talk about the product page, okay, on the product page you could have a summary, a description, and you could stream a video from YouTube or any other streaming site. You could have your own set of images. Every product can have as many as 10 separate images. You could do a matrix kind of functionality. Typically what you see in when you're buying apparel online, you could specify the color, size, style, and the system will automatically filter down for you. So you could do all the good stuff. So with that, what I want to do is I want to take open the lines for any kind of questions that we may have, and then I will flip over to the product per se. So any questions, if you may have, please raise your hand and I'll unmute the line, or you could send me a chat message and I will be able to respond. I have a few questions that I'm answering to on the chat. And let me ask the questions. One of the questions is, what's the difference between mCommerce and eCommerce? A very pertinent question, I must say that. And I have been using this term interchangeably quite a bit in terms of what is mCommerce and what is eCommerce. So if you were to do business online, okay, one way to do business as a consumer would be when you browse the website of the portal or from a laptop or a desktop machine. Today, the technology has improved so much that you can do practically almost everything from your phones. But because of the form factor, okay, because it's slightly small, the websites and the portals have to render very differently on a mobile handheld device. So, ability to do commerce from a mobile device is one definition of mCommerce. There are many other connotations and definitions of mCommerce, but in the context that we're talking about, mCommerce refers to ability to do business on a mobile device. Same website, different look and feel, rendered specifically for a mobile device. I have one more question. What I'll do is I'll unmute the line. Derek, yes, you can go ahead and ask the question, please.
Okay, great. It's just in relation to the kind of two aspects: order in line and pick up in the store. I assume the fallback method would apply, whereby a customer, if they want to select one store, similarly, if it's not in stock, it will then give them similar options.
Yes, yes, very true. And what really happens is when I'm as a consumer, when I specify that I need to pick up at such a store, as a consumer, I also have the ability to see whether stock is available in that store or not. Because if the stock is not available, I will much rather select a different store altogether. So one is the option available to the consumer, and second, from a delivery standpoint, the retailer can also specify that just in case stocks get over from at store A, or rather my delivery location A, all the orders to be delivered from A would then be delivered from delivery location B, and so on and so forth.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else who has a question, please raise the hands. We're still not done yet. We still have a while, and I'll try and take you through the application in as much detail as I possibly can. And and then I'll again open the entire forum for questions. So that said, let me just try and launch the application. Let me go to the desktop. Before I go there, I just wanted to let everybody know about our knowledge portal. We have something called a City Access Knowledge Portal. For all the partners who are present here, I sincerely urge you to go to the City Access Knowledge Portal, register yourself, and all those people who are registered already, I would urge them to go to once you log in, right hand side of the top menu is a menu called Partner Kit. Please go to the Partner Kit, browse through it. What we've recently done is we have uploaded what we call as the iVend demo stack. iVend demo stack is a single installer which installs iVend Retail Terminal POS, iVend eCommerce, iVend Loyalty, and iVend Process. All 4 applications, and it also has a license for a mobile POS as well. So all 5 applications get installed in single installer. And what I'm going to show you today is essentially that I have installed the entire application set using the demo stack. The demo stack installs all these applications, has demo data in it, and has a demo script as well. So people are trying to ramp up, partners who are trying to ramp up, what they can do is they can go to the partner kit, they can download the entire demo stack and run the demo stack along with the demo script. The demo stack is also available along with SAP Business One. SAP Business One PL 8.8, SAP Business One 8.82 PL 12 on US localization. So if you have such a SAP Business One installation, while installing demo stack, it will ask you, do you have a Business One installation or not? And if the installation is of the type 82 PL 12, the entire thing would also be available as an integrated thing to SAP Business One. Has been very popular, extremely popular in the partner community across the globe. For all those, I'm saying this for all those people who have known it, not very confident about it, please try and use it. Extremely useful, very popular application. And what it does is it installs, you see these icons, it installs iVend eCommerce, admin, iVend eCommerce admin sign, and loyalty, management console, and iVend point of sale. So with that said, let me just launch iVend iVend eCommerce. There you go. It's being rendered from my local machine, localhost iVend eCommerce. So this, what you see on the screen, is the standard interface of iVend eCommerce. It looks like an e-commerce site, and what is important here, apart from how it looks and feel, that aside, what is important to note here is that it has 3 tabs here. It has a section, category, and brand. Section refers to the product groups as defined in Business One or as defined in iVend Retail. Categories are categories in iVend Retail, and brands are brands defined in iVend Retail or in SAP Business One, as the case might be. So all these are automatically integrated. You don't, one doesn't really have to create all that on their own, or rather, don't have to create them separately. And this is the main banner section. And this banner section again is customizable. You can have your own banner defined. Similarly, these groups are featured here. Then this has one section which is I can have 2 featured product sections. So I have apparel, electronic as featured products. I can specify the top sellers, and the system automatically displays things which have been recently sold. What I will try and do now is I'll take you through a very simple business cycle here. Let's say I go to apparel and pick up one of the products under the women section. Let's say I pick up this one. What you see here is called the entity page, and what comes on the screen now is the product page. I have a question here. One second. I'll pick this up a question towards the end. So iVend eCommerce allows you to upload as many as 10 different images of a particular product. So I can zoomify it. Okay, and I can press this button that says view the large image. I can have a description, I can have a summary, and I can similarly stream a video. I can tweet, Google. For some odd reason, Facebook is not coming here, but I can do a Facebook. I can email the product to a friend. The system talks about what's the item SKU number, availability in stock, price. So before I go any further, let me just first log in. I'll log in as Manish, under the pseudonym as Edward Robinson. So let's go back to where I started with apparel, women. This one, for example. Okay. I add it to the cart. Once I add it to the cart, because the entire system is seamlessly integrated, I could enter a coupon code, I could enter a gift card code, and because I'm a loyalty member, I could press this button to refresh loyalty. The system will tell me the currency value of the loyalty points that I have. It is 10 in this case, but depending upon how much are the redeemable amount, it will be the currency value of the points that I'm talking about. I could give special instructions to the order in case I want to, like for example, deliver between 5 and 7 in the evening, or deliver before 9 in the morning. Having done that, let's just do a checkout. I didn't select the shipping method. Let's say in this case I select FedEx. These are all customizable. You can define your own shipping methods. okay, and specify the delivery dates here. And select the shipping method, give my card number, the verification code, it's a Visa card for 2019, and I say continue to checkout. But before I do that, I want to show you something interesting. I'll pause the screen here for a moment and then jump back. What I want to show actually is that once I check out of uh, the system will send an email out to two emails out. One, it will go to the consumer who has placed the order, and second, it will also go to the the administrator. So let's say we continue to check out. Once I press this button, it will ask me to confirm the billing and the shipping address, which I do, and I say place the order. Once I place the order, the system will send an email. You see this one, which comes on the screen, which says new order notification. The first email comes to the administrator, and the second one, which will come, would be to the end consumer. So let me try and open this one for you. So this is all again customized. Bill to, ship to, order number, order ID, order date. It gives order date, what's the customer, payment method, credit card, what is the currency, level details, name of the card, card number, the product that I bought, okay, the quantity, price, etc. So this is what really happens when you place an order. Now, what also happens is that I have configured the system that the product is to be delivered from a particular store. I go to that particular store now and try and see what will happen to the order. Ideally, what would happen is this order, which was placed online, should now be available to the store manager for the shipment. So I log in, and once I log in here, I search for that particular transaction for a particular date range. I'm sorry, I have to do this. It says this is the e-commerce order that I was talking about. I press OK. This is what I really bought. I press the fulfillment button. One quantity is being fulfilled. I press OK. And the product is now ready for delivery, as you see here. I say quick complete cash. Give the tracking number, which is 11223344456677, and the shipping type, let's say FedEx. Okay, and I'm done here. So what this happens is again I would be getting I'll be getting an email as a consumer that my order has been shipped. It is still processing in the background. If you see, as you can see it, the moment this gets over, I will get an email. There you go. One, because I'm a loyalty customer, talks about the loyalty, and second, that the e-commerce, we just wanted to update you, let you know order number so and so has been shipped via FedEx, tracking number is this, thanks for shopping. Another email that I got was for the loyalty, because I am a loyalty member. Okay, so this is my loyalty card. Okay, I add it to the passbook. And it gets added to my passbook here. It says awarded points, redeem points, available points. I press the add and I'm good to go. So all of a sudden, and there comes a notification on top, total awarded points, total number of points, etc. So that's in terms of, one full cycle of how the whole thing works. I can go on and on. Just that I would much rather have the audience ask me questions rather than me trying to make it a monologue of sorts. So on this note, I would like to open the forum for any questions that you may have, and I'll be more than willing to answer them. One of the questions that that I'm being asked is that, many stores are offering return back policy. Isn't this a loss of forwarding charges? Yes, it's a loss of forwarding charges. And incidentally, what is viewed today is it's not the convenience of buying online. It's not the convenience of buying online. What is a benchmark is how convenient and easy it is to return something which has been bought online. Okay, the idea is to retain that customer and make the consumer happy and be satisfied for what he bought. Because bear in mind, the guy bought based on what he saw as an image, not as what he was able to look and feel. So there has to be some amount of credit given, or some benefit of doubts, if you may, has to be given to the guy who's buying online. And one way to do that is by, ensuring that the return policy is extremely easy and convenient for such a consumer. Yes, Gavin has a question. Let me just unmute your line. Yes, Gavin, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question there that if you're using SAP B1 and you're using the warehouse functionality in there, can you post directly into B1 without using iVend at store and use the SOP facilities within B1 to follow the order through for picking and packing?
A short answer is, I'm sorry, no. Predominantly because the entire iVend Retail Management Suite has iVend Enterprise as the hub. So it is that hub which speaks to either Business One or Business All-in-One, or let's say ECC6. So orders get routed from eCommerce to iVend Retail to SAP Business One. There isn't a mechanism by which you could short circuit it and post it directly into Business One. Okay, that's something that iVend eCommerce doesn't do. So to answer your question, you would need an iVend Retail in between. Once you do that, the order that is placed online would be available as a sales order in SAP Business One, which could then go through the entire process of pick, pack, and ship, invoicing, and delivery, etc. And the information will go all the way back into iVend eCommerce, and the similar set of experience in terms of an email and all the good stuff would be shown to the customer. So customer won't really know whether it came from Business One or without a Business One. We will still get an email which will have a tracking number. And the tracking number is what you put it under the logistics tab of a delivery document.
So if you set up a iVend store location effectively with zero stock in it and used your e-commerce standard to point at that, by doing a read into the SAP B1 and using fulfillment, you'd be able to use pick and pack and then use dispatch on the screen within iVend Retail. Is that what you're saying?
Almost the same. Now, I dispatch the goods from an iVend point of sale. Okay, should you were to use SAP Business One, you wouldn't need an iVend point of sale to enter your dispatch details. You could easily do that from the delivery document of SAP Business One. So the moment you get the order, you convert that order into a delivery document, and before you confirm the delivery document, you enter the delivery details. So what essentially you would be needing is this iVend retail without a point of sale, just an iVend retail. Well, you get an iVend retail because you have to buy a point of sale. So you would need a point of sale to get the entire thing. You need a point of sale, which gives you the entire iVend retail, e-commerce, and an SAP Business One integration. So the whole thing can still be routed through the entire thing can be done in SAP Business One. iVend retail only being used as a conduit, if you may, between e-commerce and Business One.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other question, please go ahead. I'll be more than willing to answer them. Yes, Gavin.
Yeah, just one more there. We have an order for a PC company, and they're going to emulate the likes of the Apple website. When you're building that with us, how much control over the business processes, how flexible is the product, just so that when we're starting to talk to the customer, we don't misrepresent it? Can you give me an idea around that? I know it's a generic question.
It's fairly generic, but okay, before, rather than answering what all I can do, I think a shorter list would be what is it I cannot, okay? And more importantly, what comes straight out of the box. And so when you're trying to commit, you could commit accordingly. So what the look and feel that you see on the screen, is what comes out of the box. We call it a martini skin. We've given the skin a name. Okay, when I say skin, I mean the look and feel, the whites in the background, and the way these are laid out, the banner and the product groups here. Okay, we call this a martini skin. So this is what comes by default. Okay, iVend e-commerce, other than this, fairly flexible. I mean, it's honestly given, it's very difficult for me to answer the boundaries. One of the boundaries that I know for is that the skin is what comes by default. It of course can be customized. It's just that that's an additional effort. But by default, this is what it comes. Other than that, I think most of the thing it does handle. I mean, the new versions that we have come up with, you know, we could, as I was talking about, we could group zip codes and opt some zip codes out, all that good stuff. I mean, it'll be better if you could share with us the requirement document. We'll be able to take it off much faster.
Okay, so just for instance, we're also deploying iVend retail in the stores. So if a customer goes into the store and buys a computer, for instance, use their loyalty card as well, for instance, can they see, do they get visibility of that through the account on the e-commerce? Can they reprint receipts? Can they use that for warranty purposes?
No, warranty is a very different process, and loyalty points are very different. If I go here on the e-commerce and see my account, okay, if I see the details here, I will get information in terms of my name.
I suppose the question is whether, I suppose whether, sorry, I suppose the question is whether or not my purchases in store, are they reflected on any portal through my account on the e-commerce and vice versa?
No. No. Let me just confirm. Let me just confirm. Given, I think.
How about are they reflected in B1 under the CRM?
Of course, in B1, yes. And I think I'm tempted to answer the question in a yes, which says, if you see this, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, the chances are that I would have done certain transactions. Let me do one more. How does it matter?
No, I think it's fine as long as as long as there is a consolidated view in B1 under the CRM under the customer. We can look at a portal if they need to get history to go straight in there.
If it doesn't exist, it shouldn't be very difficult, because at the end of the day, I'm pulling up data from iVend Retail. Should be possible. It's just that I would much rather have it confirmed.
Yeah, it's just a lot of retailers have the issue of the one customer coming into the store and going online, etc., and being able to actually see one version of history.
I understand what you're saying. I will just confirm this one moment. If I go back in here, and I go say account. No, I don't think so. I will just confirm this to you, Gavin. I will just confirm. Not very sure. And I'll get back to you.
No, it's okay. We can take it offline. So
yes.
one of our technical guys will be following up anyway.
Yep. I have one more question from Surendra. Let me just ask the question. Can an e-commerce retail company get links to all other e-commerce retailers? Yeah, that's a very interesting question, a very pertinent one. Like, for example, I have an e-commerce site. Okay, is it possible that my goods are not only available on my site, but are also available, let's say, on Amazon, eBay, and Yahoo Shopping, and so on and so forth? It's a very important question. Yes, it's possible. Yes, it is possible that, and I'm forgetting the name, the exact name for such a feature. But yes, if I want my products to be available on Amazon and eBay and Yahoo Shopping, etc., I think they are called affiliates, if I'm not wrong. I can do that and have the entire business routed through via my e-commerce into iVend Retail. So yes, Surendra, yes, it's definitely possible. The other question what Surendra wants to ask is, do we have success stories in India? Not for now. We are talking to quite a few retailers here who are interested in having our portal. We are in process of implementing at a retailer in New Delhi in India called SaveMax. We are trying to do that there. Other than that, no. Any other question that we have? Yes, Derek has a question. Yes, Derek.
Just a quick question, really. Obviously, if we're going towards the package here of the iVend e-commerce and the iVend point of sale, the kind of the fully integrated package, is there any allowance for integration of couponing, i.e., for a e-commerce customer to get a redemption coupon in store, or vice versa, an in-store customer to have a redemption coupon, linking essentially both aspects of the selling?
Yes, you do that. That's a feature available straight out of the box in iVend Retail and e-commerce. So if you have issued out a coupon to a customer from your, let's say, terminal point of sale, the same coupon would be available for redemption on your e-commerce site. You could also send and sell a gift card online, which will go to the person whom you are gifting as an email. So let's say you log in and you send a gift card, let's say, to Gavin. So Gavin will get a gift card as an email, which he can redeem either online or on a brick and mortar store. Was that the question? Did I understand the question correct?
Yeah, that's fine. As I say, yeah, gift card in one part, and then obviously the redemption coupon. But if there is the link up there, then both aspects should be achieved. That's fine.
Yes. All right. I think for now, I think we are good. In case you have any other questions, you can always get in touch with us. You can write an email to you may write an email to newdelhi@cityaccess.com, info@cityaccess.com, log into our knowledge portal, knowledge.cityaccess.com, or write an email to me directly, and I'll be more than willing to help you. With that, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your participation, and I really appreciate and so very thankful to you all who have made this an extremely interactive session, and I look forward to interacting with all of you again. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.